Start. MTC. Q-Jump Chapter 8. Number point 1. RAP Rides is an all-volunteer system that takes seniors on shopping trips to Warrenton, Culpeper, Luray, and Front Royal on successive Fridays. RAP Rides Warrenton, Culpeper, Luray, Front Royal. RAP Rides just completed its first full month and the verdict is in. RAP Rides. Seniors love it. More than a dozen went on trips in March. 310. They and others at the Senior Center look forward to more trips in upcoming months. That's the problem. With one exception, the only seniors who have requested trips also attend the Senior Center. Do you want to get out of the house for a few hours? It doesn't have to be for shopping. To arrange a pickup, call Darcy Canton, Senior Center Coordinator, at 540-987-3638. Darcy Canton 540-987-3638. Darcy will assign a driver, who will call the senior to coordinate a pickup. Darcy. RAP Rides is a great service, and it's free. RAP Rides. Let's take advantage of it. MTC. Good job. Let's start. MTC. Q-Jump Chapter 8. Number point 2. After a problem which needs to be solved has been recognized, the process of defining and representing the problem may proceed with processes such as analogical thinking. To form an appropriate representation, a problem solver must often try out several different perspectives on a problem before finding one that gives insight to a solution path. One way in which a variety of representations can be found is through analogical thinking. When an analogous problem can be identified, then the solution of the present problem is partly a matter of mapping one element onto another. For example, mapping involves comparing the problems for similarity in structure and identifying their parallel elements. The solution of one problem then can guide the process of solving a novel one through this analogical mapping process. MTC. Good job. Let's start. MTC. Q-Jump Chapter 8. Number point 3. Very briefly, the complex individual is one who can see things from another person's point of view and who is flexible in his/her thought processes. For example, they are able to change their minds on an issue in the light of new information rather than rigidly sticking to their guns. They also tend to avoid what might be called black and white thinking. For example, the positions of others on an issue are not lumped into the two categories of those for them and those against them, but rather shades of differences or gradations of opinion are recognized and taken into account. Thus, they realize that the truth of a matter often lies somewhere in between two extremes. Last but not least, the complex person seems better able to hold off on a decision, allowing more information to be taken into consideration. MTC. Good job. Let's start. MTC. Q-Jump Chapter 8. Number point 4. Emotions are an important link between human nature and culture. The analysis of the place of emotions in human behavior has an extensive history. It starts appropriately with Darwin and his 1872 book The Expression of the Emotions in Man and Animals. 1872 The Expression of the Emotions in Man and Animals. Darwin believed that many, though not all, emotional expressions in humans are innate. In making his case, Darwin drew on 4 kinds of evidence. He pointed out that some emotional expressions appear in similar form in many non-human animals. Some emotions also appear in very young children before much opportunity for cultural learning has occurred. Moreover, some are expressed in identical ways by humans born blind and thus unable to mimic the appearance of a gesture or expression. Finally, many emotional expressions appear in similar form across all human groups. Smiling is an example of an emotion that offers all 4 of these kinds of evidence. MTC. Good job. Let's start. MTC. Q-Jump Chapter 8. Number point 5. How we see ourselves, our life circumstances, the future, or even other people is never completely accurate. Our past influences how we see the present and imagine the future. Some people are by nature more positive and optimistic, tending to focus on their positive characteristics and expecting that things will turn out fine. Other people are by nature more negative and pessimistic, focusing on their negative characteristics and thinking about the possibility of bad future outcomes. Whichever group you fall into, the way you see yourself and the world can't be perfectly clear and precise. We all see things through somewhat clouded lenses, and we naturally tend toward seeing either the rosy or the darkly tinted side of things. And as we process information and try to understand ourselves, the world around us, and our relationships, we all make cognitive errors, or mistakes in our thinking. These cognitive errors are especially evident when we are feeling down or depressed. MTC. Good job. Let's start. MTC. Q-Jump Chapter 8. Number 6. Thinking green about air calls upon each one of us to limit our contributions to air pollution. Some obvious examples of how we can help are to walk, ride a bicycle, or use public transportation instead of driving, whenever possible. Another example is to avoid wasting electricity in our homes. Green air also means ecologically friendly policies for protecting the quality of the air we must breathe. Such policies have been put into practice in many parts of the world with varying degrees of success. In the United States, many programs at the federal and state levels have been created to deal with air quality problems in need of solutions. Much progress has been made in spite of fierce opposition by various industries with vested interests in keeping the situation as it is or even in rolling back environmental protection laws. MTC. Good job. Let's start. MTC. Q-Jump Chapter 8. Number 7. It may seem odd to suggest that numbers are a human invention. After all, some might say, regardless of whether humans ever existed, there would still be predictable numbers in nature, be it 8, octopus legs, 4, seasons, 29, days in a lunar cycle, and so on. 8, 4, 29. Strictly speaking, however, these are simply regularly occurring quantities. Quantities and correspondences between quantities might be said to exist apart from the human mental experience. Octopus legs would occur in regular groups even if we were unable to perceive that regularity. Numbers, though, are the words and other symbolic representations we use to differentiate quantities. Much as color terms create clearer mental boundaries between colors along adjacent portions of the visible light spectrum, numbers create conceptual boundaries between quantities. Those boundaries may reflect a real division between quantities in the physical world, but these divisions are generally inaccessible to the human mind without numbers. MTC. Good job.